It has long been said that the 2024 NBA draft will be disappointing, and current developments have only served to confirm that opinion. The attention of scouts has shifted to overseas talent as elite prospects from college basketball and the G League Ignite have failed to impress them. Experts have been projecting a bad draft for years, so this doubt is not new. But how can one fairly assess the future of athletes who are teenagers and whose bodies and abilities are still developing? Scouts viewing high school games might be observing these young athletes and saying, "This kid won't make it." Yet history shows that these scouts often know their stuff. So what exactly makes a draft class stand out or falter? And why are experts so convinced that this one will be a bust? In this video, we'll show you how to figure out the worst NBA draft in recent memory. Let's get into it. The 2024 NBA draft selections are already losing value, particularly in light of actions from the previous year. Executives should think about several approaches going forward to optimize their possible return on investment during this draft cycle. One important tactic is managing up, which is making sure ownership understands the different expectations this year's draft has from previous drafts. The analytics sections of the majority of front offices can calculate the average return for each pick. With a given pick, they may forecast the likelihood of becoming an all-star, a starter, a rotational player, or even a player who is not in the NBA. These odds are anticipated to be lower this year because the skill pool is generally poorer. If you're an executive with a top pick or even the number 1 overall pick, you're navigating a tricky path. Admitting in public that the draft was inadequate would enrage agents, supporters, and draftees alike. However, internally, it's crucial to convey to ownership the projected value of picks this year in comparison to previous years. It makes me think of the 2013 NBA draft, in which Anthony Bennett was selected first overall. Not only was there no obvious favorite back then, but there was uncertainty around even the top 3. Cleveland waited until draft day to make a final decision. The top pick was surrounded by backups and role players rather than future stars, so they tried everything to trade out of it. This draft appears to have solid role players and players who are eager to contribute, but there aren't any obvious all-stars. And that uncertainty is causing all of the grumbling. For GMs, executives, and scouts, this draft poses a significant risk to job security. The likelihood that the player they choose will be less influential or have a shorter career than someone chosen 10 spots later is higher than usual. Giannis Antetokounmpo, Victor Oladipo, and Rudy Gobert are the only 3 All-Stars selected in the 2013 draft. But we also received about a dozen reliable role players who are currently playing in the league. These players weren't all first-choice selections, and Bennett was one of 8 first-round picks who left the league in 5 years or less. The issue is that there's no franchise changers in this year's draft, not even among the top 3 choices. The fact that the majority of the best talent in the NBA draft in 2024 is foreign is another noteworthy aspect. Players who are presently playing overseas make up 3 of the projected top 5 picks. Among them is Frenchman Alex Sarr, an 18-year-old center for the Perth Wildcats in Australia, who is predicted to go number 1. Despite players like Nikola Jokic, Giannis, and Luka Doncic, NBA teams are still apprehensive about how foreign players will adjust to the league's more athletic, isolation-based style of play. There have been many shocks and busts in the past with foreign players. The top foreign player is frequently selected considerably later in drafts full of first-round international possibilities. Jokic was selected 41st in the 2014 draft, behind players such as Dante Exum, Dario Saric, Yusuf Nurkic, Bruno Caboclo, Clint Capella, and Bogdan Bogdanovic. Why? Because they all appeared to be more fit. Consider the 2016 NBA draft, which was rich with highly touted international players who ultimately didn't pan out. Dragan Bender, Thon Maker, Georgios Papagiannis, Juancho Hernan-Gomez, and Gershon Yabusele, who were all taken in the first 16 picks. Yet none of them are in the league today. Meanwhile, Ivica Zubac, the 32nd pick, is still holding strong as the Clippers center. The inherent distrust of foreign talent is perhaps best exemplified by the case of Luka Doncic. Despite being the most accomplished foreign player as a teenager, he was passed up by the Phoenix Suns and Sacramento Kings, who chose DeAndre Ayton and Marvin Bagley III from high-profile U.S. collegiate programs. Even when the Atlanta Hawks took him 3rd, they traded him to the Mavericks for 5th pick Trae Young and a future first-round pick. Luka was arguably the best and most proven rookie to enter the NBA in the last 20 years. Yet, he didn't go number 1. This bias underscores how drafts are often evaluated based on the number of highly touted American players, especially those who played in college. AllStars isn't drawing comparisons to Luka Doncic, nor his fellow countrymen. 2023 number 1 overall pick, Victor Wembanyama. Adding to the challenge of his draft stock, Sarr plays in the Australian National Basketball Association, a league considered below almost every European league despite producing solid NBA players like LaMelo Ball, Josh Giddey, Jacques Landale, and Bilal Coulibaly. The scouting hierarchy for NBA teams generally prioritizes number 1, US colleges, number 2, top European leagues, and number 3, top Eurasian leagues. Every team and their scouting department is centered around college basketball, said a Western Conference GM. Everyone is constantly scouting college games. But if a player is in Spain, France, or Serbia, teams need to adapt their scouting efforts. Out of 70 people in the scouting department, maybe 5 are dedicated to Europe full-time. Historically, that's just how teams have been set up. This setup means that while a portion of scouts might be well informed about European talent, the majority are not. If 70 scouts weigh in and 20 have done their homework on European players, that still leaves 50 who haven't and are likely to undervalue these prospects, the GM explained. Where some see challenges, others see opportunity. Because of the uncertainty surrounding this selection, teams with outstanding talent evaluators may have a greater opportunity to differentiate themselves, regardless of where they pick. Teams can concentrate on their actual potential because ownership will not be as pressing to choose well-known players for marketing purposes, or to appease fans and mock draft enthusiasm. What's intriguing about this draft is the freedom it offers. There's no consensus, therefore there's no reason to be concerned about picking a player outside of it. With confidence, teams can select the player whom they truly trust without worrying about negative feedback from mock draft experts due to subpar trade rankings. This draft offers a rare chance for astute scouting and audacious decision-making to excel. So, is this underwhelming draft class the start of a trend or just a blip on the radar? As of now, it's expected to just be a blip. Ideally, the best players come from college, and next year's draft is anticipated to have a strong college cohort. If there's a really good college crop, which there will be next year, we're gonna say the draft is awesome. And that's our deep dive into how to figure out the worst NBA draft in recent memory. What do you think? Will this draft surprise us, or will it go down as one of the weakest in history? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and hit the subscribe button for more awesome content just like this from NBA Swish. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.